Welcome back to another episode of Devil's Advocate Trades Edition on our segment, Hard Hats, Hard Truth. So joined with me by my co-host, Michael. Hello, Michael. Good morning.
Yo, good morning.
So we're going to dive right in. You know, it's funny on my yesterday I did a podcast and said, thank you, TikTok, for giving me and Michael all this material for the next
Jesus.
few months.
It's never ending.
Right? It's like 30,000, over 38,000. It's like crazy. So I'm like, oh, and then they got 518 comments. So we're going to dive into these comments. So which one do we want to do? Do we want to do the HR nightmare?
I think
So
we go back
women
to the
in
HR
construction,
nightmare.
what has your experience been like? There's another one that I have too, and that like men come in drones on that one. And that's the concern.
Could slide either way. Doesn't matter.
So there's, like I said, there's a lot, like there's a woman here. She says, thriving, successful, and respected, made it to management. And I was like, good for you. I try to comment on some of them, but a lot of them I don't. I just give a like or support on some of the things I like. And then the stuff that's misogynistic or implied to be like a joke, but it's not because it's coming from a male. And I'm like, shouldn't be in here with those.
It is social media. You're going to get that.
You're showing your ass. And so let's see. So this person writes HR nightmare. So women in construction, what's your experience been like? And this guy says, or girl, I shouldn't say, I don't know what they are. This person says HR nightmare. I said, can you elaborate? And they said, whether they're male or female for sure. So thank you for not doubling down on stupid. I appreciate that. So you can say deeply sexist and misogynistic. So you can't say deeply sexist and misogynistic shit at work anymore is what you're really trying to say.
I guess maybe could be one element. But
yeah, it could. I mean, very much so. It could be. And it says for you, nightmare for you. And can't joke with women like work buddies. So I said, some you can, I know a lot. Some you can't, I know a lot you can. And it also depends on what you're joking about. I know jokes I've made about some guys can bring some pretty big feelings in them. To each their own. Not to mention, I've met some younger men that find the older generation of men and women to be inappropriate and crude. So that's kind of where we were. And then you said this person made a really good point. You said, I'm convinced people who think this just aren't funny because the rapport and delivery aren't everything. Sexist, crude, and dark jokes are extremely funny if you are a respected person who isn't truly sexist and can land the joke. If you are a weirdo creep making these jokes that women or people in general don't take them well. Fair.
Yeah, no, read the room. Read the room. It's a pretty safe bet.
We'll like that one. I liked it right on. Right now.
But we had a great, we were talking about that last week, which was, it's also about, was somebody eavesdropping? Was the delivery not meant for them?
Yeah.
Right. And that's an important element where it's, if you decide to listen to somebody else and then go, well, that's offensive. Well, that's a you problem. Sorry.
But that's seems to be it. But everybody wants to, everybody wants to be a part of the group, but then they come into the group at the wrong point and make a comment, like they said, that doesn't land. So because everybody wants some sort of acceptance inside of any organization, regardless of trades, but especially women who want to be somewhat like, so you've got this fear as a woman of trying to kind of, insert yourself into the group in some way that's not domineering, or because some women demand respect. I've seen those women that walk in and think they're all that in a bag of potato chips and start trying to run men in a way that is, in my opinion, very disrespectful. I don't care if you're skilled. I don't care if you're smart. I don't care if you are running a site. If you speak to people poorly and you demand respect, you're not going to get it. You have to earn it on sites. You have to earn the respect. And how you earn the respect is by listening to people, taking what they're saying, into consideration in every point when they're trying to teach you something, to try to understand their perspective and maybe try it, regurgitate it back. Men love that shit. If a man says something to you, this is what I found. This is why I do so well on my sites. So a guy will tell me, okay, Lisa, and he'll give me the rundown of what to do, especially in, like, I did this with my other half when we first met. I think that's how I bagged him. But anyway.
Quite possibly.
Totally manipulated the situation. No, but this is what I've always done, and it always works really well. And this is something he says is a dangerous thing for me as a woman. He says, because you're not an ugly woman, but you go onto site and, you listen and then you regurgitate back what they've said so they know that you've heard them. And because men are always in this mindset that women don't listen, so to them, it's like, oh, this one listens. So it's like they get kind of like, okay, so I can talk to her and she'll hear me and then she'll apply what I'm telling her to do so that this job goes faster. So I can get out of here sooner. And guys, I think men and women like that, but men, something that's male heavy dominated, they appreciate when someone else comes into it, hears them, regurgitates it back, and then applies it. It's something that means a lot to them. They've been doing it for a long time. For me to come in and tell anybody how to do their job is disrespectful.
Respect is such an intrinsical thing for a male. Like it's the very basic, right? I want respect. I want peace. Those are the two things. Like if I have those two things in my life, everything else is easy, right? And regurgitating it back, I think that's right, right? Because you're just like, okay, I'm actualizing what you're saying. It's also a little bit of confirming. I kind of like it when if somebody's a subordinate, especially, I like when they give it back because then they're at least confirming that they heard it, right? And they're not, coming up with their own ideas on top.
And sometimes what I would do is I would say, okay, so there's three comments as I've gotten older and done lots of education in like HR and understanding people and how to speak, because I will be honest, like there was a time when I was a lot feistier and didn't necessarily demand respect, but gave that energy. And that's a big thing because guys pick up on energy. You guys are all like deers. Like, you're like, whoop, here to spook the guys. Bunch of deer in the field and this thing's tromping through and they're like, whoop, scatter.
Run, just run. Go find a corner somewhere. Be
Disperse.
busy. Make yourself busy.
But honestly, like it's a fair point. And like we were talking about this, like, because one of the comments at the top said this, right? And I said, do we want to talk about this? And it said, speaking on behalf of men. And this is where he basically says that, in this comment, there was no peace and there was no respect, which was a problem. And it's a longer comment. I mean, I can read the whole thing for the people that are listening, but it says, speaking on behalf of men here, a lot of times it ends up with others having to pick up the slack. Some create unnecessary drama or pick and choose tasks they want to do, ask for help with work that others usually handle on their own. Even the ones who do work hard can struggle when the job gets really heavy or physically demanding, which can also slow things down. On top of that, the workplace dynamics change. You have to be more careful about what you say. Jokes might normally be said among the crews can become an issue and potentially lead to disciplinary action or even getting fired, which I think is bullshit. If you are in a situation, so it's a catch-22 for me. This is a total double-edged sword because if I'm talking to you, Michael, and you and I have a great rapport, and we've made some pretty fucking dark jokes to each other in just you and I, like where we're just having a conversation before I go into podcasts, or, if you're going to be producing something or whatever you're doing, or just on the phone catching up with whatever's happening in life. And we've made some pretty dark jokes to each other, which are funny and they land and we know each other's personalities. So we laugh. So if you're part of my team and somebody else hears it and they're like, oh my God, that's so inappropriate, blah, 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 I feel offended. And then you or I get fired or both. To me, that's wrong. They were never part of that conversation. So in the world, like in the generation below us, because you and I are same gen, the generation below us, so not millennials, because we're just right in the middle of that mix. So, but the ones like that my daughter's in, they would call that like a pick me. Somebody who
Pick
has
me.
to be involved with every situation and causes problems, right? But they usually say about men, right? So they call them a pick me girl because they want to try and date everybody. But that's how I look at it on a site. You want to cause drama everywhere. You want to insert yourself and be the center of attention. You want to be relevant. And sometimes, and that's why I always, and it's so weird because I remember when when I first met, my other half, he was quiet. He was really quiet. And I'm like this loud, crazy person. And I'm like directing crews and doing these great big safety meetings and going over things and buying lunch for the guys and encouraging them and telling them they're doing a great job and being that cheerleader for my crews when I first met him. And he was quiet. He hid. Like he was like, I barely got a chance to see him. I thought he was totally hot, Michael. I was like, that's the one. That's the one.
Don't be creeping on your cruise. Come on.
He was I know, right? And then
So
everyone's gonna
you're
be
a
like,
pick
she's a
me.
problem.
You're a
She's
pick
a
me.
problem. And I'd be
You're
like,
a
but you know
pick
what
me.
though?
That's
But
it.
I kept that to myself. I didn't say anything to him. Like I was very kind to him. In my brain, I was like, I'm gonna have a little crush and that's good. I'm good with it. Go home, have a little crush, because crushes aren't something that can be a problem. I'm not creeping. I'm not paying attention. I'm doing my job. I just find somebody attractive. He's easy on the eyes. I mean, you've seen him. You know.
Good looking dude. Well, I can't say anything more than that. Like, sorry, not my type. It's wrong Lego. Wrong Lego.
I was like, you are so pretty. And there's some women that are. They're just, I'm not bisexual. I'm not attracted to women in that way, but just their beauty. And I think that part of it is also their energy and their confidence and their ability and skill. All those things radiate through them. And I'm just like, you're beautiful. And I'm just like, I have to go see how this female works because she's a beautiful person. And I almost kind of have it in my head like, this is the unicorn, right? Like, this is the unicorn female who's going to come in and run circles around this guy. And it's only ever happened once where I have met a beautiful woman in trades. It sucks for me because I've been in trades a long time, that can run circles around the males, can hold her own, and is so fucking skilled. Eats lunch on her own or with me or, with the guys sometimes, but normally keeps to herself, does her thing, does her job, and goes home. But the rest of them, it's all like, it's either drama or they milk the job and it's no different than some of their male counterparts. I've watched guys milk jobs. I've watched guys fuck
All the
around.
time.
And I mean, like we have all those nicknames, right? There's all those I was talking about it and I couldn't think of some, but they were like
Dog
super
fuckers.
inappropriate. All the nicknames that they call guys. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, dog fuckers. You're dog fuckers.
They are dog fuckers. The
Mm.
one guy that I ever met that came on to say, he was a young kid and he's like, I'm like, what have you been fucking doing all day, bro? And he's like,
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's been a phrase for a long time.
I
You
was like,
touched
did
on
you just say making puppies?
you touched on an interesting point where you're talking about like confidence. And I think what happens is the difference between confidence and coming off or across as a like authoritarian, right? So it's a fine line, and I think a lot of times like men will hear it as like authoritarian when it's confidence, and they're just not reading it right because they're thinking more about the tone. And listen, we're dumb. Us guys, we're dumb. It's just the way we are, right? So we're gonna it's true. We're gonna hear it. We're gonna think it's something else, and it's probably not. It's probably not meant to be that, but it's coming across as that, and that's how we're processing it. And then it's like this. Everybody's blaming everybody. It's no good.
Well, and that's the thing. So, I mean, like, because I want to touch back because people will talk about, I want to go back because I did meet my significant other on site and that can work and it can. Now, I wasn't working in his company. I'm a consultant. So I was the consultant for the company. But between you and I, there was nothing between us, nothing between us. Like we were friends. I wouldn't even say we're friends. I would say we were acquaintances because I would always, if I was having a cigarette, he might come out for a smoke. He might have done these things, but he normally just did his work and he was really good at what he did. So I built him up because he was the guy that would like hide, right? He was the quiet guy that was in the back and he would hide. And I was like, what are you doing? I'm like, you're so skilled. Like, what are you doing? So I want people to understand that there's differences. If that relationship or if anything was to happen and it wouldn't work out, where the problem lies is all of the retaliatory aspects from either side that comes out of it. Do you know what I mean? And that's a
Yeah.
problem because there should be no retaliation. If you're gonna find the person that you end up with for whatever duration on a site or at work, then you have to be able to be grown up enough to when you part ways, you part ways. Be done with it. Like, I'm not angry. You know what I mean?
Wait,
Like
you want people to break up cleanly?
not even cleanly. Like, just keep your fucking bullshit at home. Leave it at the door. You don't like him. You don't like her. Leave it at the door. Come and do your job. You're both working here. But this is why I always encourage people to notify their companies of their relationships, because there is a document out there that's called a relationship in the workplace. And it's not just romantic relationships. It's friendships. It's best friendships. It's like, or relationships like mother and son, or, like brother and sister, brother and brother. Like, all these things are a thing. Oh, look, I'm getting more. What does that one say? Did you see what it said?
I
Let's
did,
go
yeah.
look.
It says, now I'm trans, bro. So I don't know
Now I'm
what that
what?
is in replying. I'm trans, bro. I don't know what that's in reply to.
We gotta, Jesus Christ.
It's
Have a
somewhere.
moment.
It's somewhere.
Did you see where my followers were at? They all jumped up. I was like, oh, sheesh, I'm trans now, brother.
It has to be in reply to something.
It is. Oh, okay. So there's a guy that put a post up. He said, The project I'm on now had Women in Construction Week. All the women from every trade got taken out to lunch by the GC. The men stayed and kept working. That should tell you all you need to know. This one got like 567 likes, but let me tell you the comments that came out of it from both men and women. So
Yeah.
that's where that comment came in. Sheesh, I'm trans now, brother. And then it said, yeah, maybe because you guys gatekeep the profession by weaponizing being a creep, women deserve to get recognized for putting up with you. I'm confused. Why is that bad? It says because he hates women. Like
Can I
there's
go
over
dangerous?
100.
Can I go dangerous and just say I think it's great that they're doing it, but in order to not be sexist, you have to do it the other way around. And what are you going to do? You're going to leave just a couple people on site to run the site?
Here's the thing.
The dangerous
So
point of view, but like I don't like favoritism for anything.
No, this is a slippery slope. I don't believe in double standards. But do you know how many times I watch the crews fuck off for a lunch and go have beers, this, that, and the other thing, and I'm not invited?
But is that the company doing it, or that's just people who work
Oh,
there doing it
managers
on
are
their own?
involved in everything. I'm not
Yeah,
invited.
the company's paying for. If the company's paying for it, that's also a
Yep.
problem. If they're choosing just to go out on their own, listen, that's after work. You do whatever you
Well,
want to
here's
do.
the thing.
If it's your
I think it
lunchtime, do
starts
whatever
off
you
as
want to
a
do.
fair. I think it starts off as a going out on your own, and then one of the big wigs shows up and got the card, and then the company pays for it. And they
Well, then
call
you have
it
to bring
fucking team
everybody.
building, and I want to poke my fucking eyes out because it's not fucking team. Drinking is not team building.
I disagree. I fundamentally disagree. Dudes hanging out at a bar, having a conversation. And by dudes, I mean anybody who's on site who is welcome to come. Because like there's a girl there, a guy there, everybody's just dudes. It's just a word I use. If all the dudes go together and you start having drinks together, you start eating together, that's a different environment than being at work. Like you're having different types of conversation. You're opening about your family, you're talking about your after stuff. You're not just talking about like where's the rebar go, like what's the stud spacing here, where's the window placement. That's all work.
I understand that. But going for drinks, having alcohol is not team building. Team building is if you want that, then you guys can go your company can coordinate events with you. A networking event, there's no alcohol. Because let
Like
me
what,
tell you something.
trust falls?
Do you want to know the most tackiest thing I see is when I pull into a restaurant area or into where there's a pub and I see a whole bunch of fucking company trucks, the same company all at that bar or all in the lounge or all in the fucking restaurant and they're all drinking beer and not one beer, but more than fucking two or three. And they all drive company vehicles. That to me is disgusting. And
That's
the worst part
different. But
about it is when the bosses are there doing it with them. And I'm like, you fucking losers. Don't wonder why your fucking liabilities are so high because the ones at the top are the biggest liability by allowing this.
now, don't get me wrong. I do not condone drinking and driving. But if you go to the pub, I will never drive to a pub. I'll take an Uber, right? Take a taxi, take something else, right? You don't have to drive there.
Mhm.
And realistically, that's also not where I'd want my company advertised either.
Right? So I will tell you that if the bosses, say, hey, listen, we're gonna have an event where we're all going out for drinks, but we're driving. We're doing taxi chits. I've seen this. We're doing taxi chits or we're doing a big bus. I've done that before. I've been to big Christmas parties where they give you taxi chits and they tell you not to drive. Right? So we've taxied down or we've Ubered down. Excuse me. And then we take a taxi chit home. Absolutely. I don't necessarily disagree with that, but I'm saying like when it's a great big function where everybody's invited and there's alcohol involved and the employer is ensuring that you don't drive.
Yes.
That there is nothing like they'll say to you, the minute you have a drink, you have to turn in your keys or you have to turn in your keys at the door. And then, like you have to basically prove that you're not getting your keys back until until the next day or whatever, especially if you're driving a company truck. I've done that where I've had crews that drove company trucks and I will pull their keys at a function. And some guys are like, I don't drink. And I'm like, I don't care. We'll get you home. Like if you're telling me you don't drink, I'm going to watch you. And if you're not drinking, if all you're drinking is Coke and no one's putting anything in your drink and you're perfectly content, I'll hand you back your keys when you leave
You
and
say
be like,
putting something in your drink,
yeah,
like
people put things in
spiking your coworkers?
Yeah. Seen that shit go
Jesus,
down. Guys are stupid.
I'm
Guys are
not
like,
sure where
ha,
you
ha, ha.
worked, but
He doesn't.
holy,
What's that?
I don't know where you worked, but I mean, like, what?
Work in Alberta.
Apparently, it's a whole different game out there.
I'm
What
not
the
saying
fuck are
they're
you guys
drugging their
doing?
drink. But it's like like how guys will like put their head like they're wait for their buddy to fall asleep, and that's the worst thing you can do is be the first guy to fall asleep with around a bunch of dudes because then they'll draw shit on your face. You
Who's
put your
got the
hand in hot
Sharpie?
water so you take a piss. They'll like super glue your fucking hand to your face. Like guys are fucking goofy. They're goofy. Like women are light. Women will do certain things, but men, like they go an extra mile. Like some of the shit that I see guys do, not all of them, but some of the shit I see guys do, they get goofy. And I'm like, oh my God. So when I say put something in your drink, I don't mean like they're going to like roofie them. I mean like, I'll just throw a little rum in there or something, be like, come on, fuck, loosen up. Because if he's not someone who doesn't drink, not because it's an alcoholic problem or anything like that, like if it's just like, oh, I don't want to drink tonight, I've seen that shit go down, and like it doesn't go well when they do that because then they dump their drink and they get mad, and which they should. They said, I'm not drinking tonight. I want to drive my fucking company truck home so I can come back to work tomorrow and not have to fucking taxi back to work.
I mean, that should be a fireable offense. Like instantly fired.
You'd think, but there's a lot of things that people get away with, and I'm not the boss that can hire and fire all the time, right? I'm the consultant. So as the consultant, I can be like, hmm, that's not okay. And let me tell you why. And they'll be like, well, it wasn't on company time. I'm like, but it was a company function. It was a company function. So technically it's company time. And they're like, well, and I'm like, you do what you want. I'm telling you that that's not a good thing. And I've said that to people. I'm like, listen, there was an altercation between this person and this person. It didn't escalate to a point of physicality, but it did escalate with words. And this is what happened. And I've said that to people. But at the same time, I've had so much pushback from bosses about he's our best guy and he was just kidding. And I'm like, that's the fucking attitude that's going to sink you. This is the guy that's going to sink you.
Is he your best guy? If he's doing
Right.
this, unless you can prove on paper he is by far the most profitable person, which most employers don't know which employee is the most profitable. They might make assumptions, but nobody's tracking right down to the employee. That is completely rare. So you probably can't prove that he's your best guy because if he's doing that type of stuff, there is a poison in there that you're not seeing. So it's a little bit of a snake in the grass there. So I think that would be a stupid statement for somebody to say.
Do you know what though, Michael? I hear it all the time. When I go through and when I was doing, I had to back off the HR, right? So when you and I did my website and I said, it's all going out, I don't want to consult on it. This is the big reason why I don't want to consult on HR because I don't have the fucking bandwidth or patience to deal with people when I sit down and I go through all their employees, all their records, listen to the staff, because I'm not there to cut the fat. I'm there just to hear the perspective of the culture, to understand what's going wrong. You know how they call like the bar rescue in and all that shit? It's a similar type of aspect, but a lot lower scale, right? So I'm just coming in to help them make some operational changes. And 9 times out of 10, the operational change that needs to occur is their golden boy.
Usually.
And I'm like, that's your poisonous snake or that's your poisonous apple. This person gets away with A, B, C, D. It brings down the morale of the rest of your people. People are being fired for far less than what he or she is doing. You are not setting an example of a standard because the standard that's being set is by this person that you protect, which actually is weakening your position. And they're like, oh, this person brings in so much money. They could do 3 times the work than any of these guys. And I said, great, then fire them and just deal with him.
Then hire 3 other people and get rid of them.
And they were like, well, no, we need crews to go out. And I said, cool, then fire him and hire 3 other people. And they're like, oh, well, that's going to be a cost. I'm like, not really, because if you're paying this person an exorbitant amount of money, then you can divide that, top it up a little bit. So you might be out at $80,000, but then you won't have a liability that could destroy your entire company.
And your
So this
opportunity is
person
actually
drinks and
growing.
drives. This person smokes weed on site. This person constantly berates and hazes people on site. I'm like, they come in when they want, they leave when they want. I'm like, this is your golden boy. This is your poisonous apple. And it's not, and sometimes it's a combination of those things or it's a few of those things. But the minute you start breaking legislation, not safety, legislation, I'm like, that's your poisonous apple. That's your weakest link. And they're like, oh no. And that's why I was like, no more. I can't do it anymore. I can't fucking do HR if the owners aren't going to fucking listen to me and say, yeah, you know what? That's a problem. Maybe we need to I'm like, you know what? Just try it. Tell him to take 2.5 weeks off. Tell him you're so invested. Pay for his 2.5 weeks off or pay for a month and watch your crews thrive.
Yeah. I think there's a difference between being profitable, where they're like, oh, they make me the most amount of money. I think it's perceived profit, right? Maybe the guy does his paperwork really well and sends it in so it looks like more, where other people don't follow up, and they're not constantly telling people everything I did. Like, I swept that corner, I did this, I did this. Like, if you make your list long, like people do with resumes, they pad the resume. You could be doing that on the job site. Same thing.
Fuck, padding resumes is just another topic we need to get into. But this is the one point that I wanted to make with what we're talking about is this is another aspect of comments that have come in where I'd love to sit here and tell you that it's what you know, but that's not the case. And that's fucking gross, Michael, because there's so many men and women that are talented and skilled that have the capability, that have the drive and the ambition to do so well in their trade, in their skilled craft. And they don't want to fucking talk to people. They don't want to rub shoulders with the boss. They want to do their fucking job. They want to be, gauged accordingly, promoted accordingly, compensated accordingly. And that's not the case unless you're fucking like in front of the boss every day, like, fluffing his ego. It's so stupid. Like, you are losing highly productive and skilled people because you're too busy listening to the guy who knows how to flap his fucking gums and spin in a chair than paying attention to the guy who's actually building, who's actually bringing in your money. So I don't understand a lot of these trades, a lot of these builders, a lot of these different organizations that have these mouthpieces. Like, I'll talk to one of them. I remember I went to site and talked to a superintendent one day. I don't claim to know everything, Michael, and I don't. I rely a lot on my trades to get me up to speed onto how they're doing things, what they're doing, and what their scope of work entails, and which way they're going to approach it. I don't ever go on site with an ego or a chip on my shoulder telling them how to do their job. Everybody does things differently. And I remember asking him what phase they were at and the amount of circle around bullshit. And I was like, I'm sorry, do you not know? Or do you think that I don't know? Because we're on phase 3 of this project. And these are the 10 items that should have been executed by now. So I'm going to go look. Let's take a walk and just babble, and I'm like, I need you to be quiet. I'm looking. I don't care about your family. I'm sorry. I'm not here. We're not girlfriends, you know? Like, I don't care. Like, I need to make sure this job gets done correctly. And you're the superintendent on site. And you don't even have a fucking clue where you are. Which is really daunting to me because I'm like, who hired you?
Do most of the projects you work on, do they have Gants? Like, do they have properly set up Gants with their subtasks, everything? No,
No, not all.
that's a problem.
Some do, not all. Some will have like a CCAN and then they have everything posted in there. Right. And that's great. Like, I love when they have that. But for the most part, everything goes through email and I talk with their office. And I'll tell you, the one thing I've learned as a female is to deal with the other females. Like, when I go into when I'm dealing with trades and I've got like 2 or 3 different companies, I don't fluff the guys. I fluff the girls because they have all the information. They're the gatekeepers.
I
They're the
think
ones who are
approach
running the
might be a better
schedules.
word than fluff, by the way. I'd say approach rather than fluff.
No, it's fluff, bro.
Like, you're padding
It's
them up,
fluff.
like you have to really do that? It's a
Yeah,
whole thing?
guys like males that are in, more, higher level of position tend to just like some of them, not all, some of them are very like technical. They just want to talk tech. This is where we're at. This is what we're doing. This is what's happening. Here's the paperwork. Bye. And then some are like, they want you to be like, hey, how's it going? You look great today. Can I get you a coffee? Oh, I haven't seen you in a while. And they're just like, and it's like, so I actually will, as we call, fluff up the girls, where I'm like really sweet to them and I'm bring them coffee and I bring them whatever, like, and I make sure I get their coffee orders right. So it's not like I'm just like, oh, I brought you a box of coffee. Like, I fucking try. I'm like, oh, I got you a flat white and I got you, like your mochaccino with coconut milk. Like, I go the extra mile and I bring them what they want. And they're like, they give me the schedules, who's going out, which crews, like they tell me everything. So I'm just like, this is perfect. That's where me as a consultant thrives, is with other women that are doing the administrative components that always get overlooked by all the other males. Right? Because they're just like, oh, well, so-and-so said I can get this from you. So if you can send that over. Whereas I'm like, I go into the office and, and I talk to them and I genuinely get to know who they are as people. And actually quite like dealing with the administrative women. I actually kind of prefer it sometimes.
They are the better gatekeepers
Yeah,
because they actually
because
retain the knowledge to actually be able to tell you without having to go to a database or type it in the computer. They're like, I just know it.
mhm,
Well, we talked about that before, right? Women are just better at that,
yeah,
100%.
I agree. But they're the ones that are 90% of the time running the fucking show. Men want to appear as though they're running the show. Men are running the site, but women are running the optics of that site and how it's to move. So a man will say, here's the scope, and that woman has to pull it apart, pull her crews on, give a timeline, and she has to put it, and then she has to put all the billing out for it as well. So she actually knows more most of the time than the men do. So when I call them and I go, I'm swinging by with this, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, no, I've got some paperwork. We're going into phase 2. These are the things we've ordered. Here's everything. And they give me copies of the material that's been ordered, when its delivery is. And then if they have problems, they'll call me. They'll be like, hey, Lisa, I've called Dick's Lumber or whatever. And they're like 3 weeks behind. And I'm like, who are you dealing with? And they'll be like, this person. And I'll call that person and be like, hey, this is who I am. This is what I do. This is the site I'm on. I hear we're behind. What can I do on my side to push this along? Because we both know that there's some leeway here where you guys can probably knock off a week or two. And a lot of times they'll be like, yeah, no problem. We'll figure this out. We can probably, like, we've got an extra load coming in for this. We can probably grab from there and move forward. They're pretty good about it. They don't, like, sometimes it's, you can't get it. Like, supply is supply. Sometimes it's like, listen, like, you're not fucking getting it until 6 weeks from now. And that's just that happens in supply chain. And then sometimes they're like, yeah, you know what? We can fucking divert this one and do this and do that and no problem. And everybody will be happy. And I'm like, okay. Because I don't want them to compromise a shipment for me. But if they have extra coming in and they know they do, because they normally order extra, especially if they know that the supply and demand is going to be there, then they'll work it out for me. And that's great. So fucking stupid. Did you see the comments are coming through, eh? They just keep
They
coming.
just keep popping up.
I
Just,
know.
it's
But
funny.
that one is, what's that?
I wish men and women could actually figure out on a job site. Like, I mean, HR seems to be a constant thread in there. Here's an idea. Don't go to HR. Go straight to the person. Whoop,
Yeah.
go straight to the person and have a conversation with the person, or have somebody like as a mediator, like just have a three-way conversation with somebody else involved, right? If you're really, really worried about it, because let's be honest, it's not that terrible. Right? If it is that terrible, okay, well that's a different story. But most of the stuff that I hear about is just it's stupid jokes, inappropriate attire, right? Like stuff like that. Like it's really not that bad. Just have a
Well,
conversation, be an adult.
yeah. Well, we talked about that, Michael. We talked about the appropriate attire.
Yes,
We
that's a
should do that
problem.
one next week. Let's do appropriate
We'll do that. We'll do
inappropriate
that one
attire
next week.
next week.
Yeah,
You down for that one?
I'm down for that one. That's should
Because
we
we
should
got
we
those.
should we bring up some visual samples for next week?
I mean, fuck, maybe.
Maybe we'll splash up some
I mean, it's not every day I walk into a house and a guy's wearing a banana hammock. You know,
right, right.
it's usually
Yeah.
women. I got to go and be like, can you cover up? Listen,
But that's
I
what I,
know the size of your breast and the size of your nipple all in one fucking take,
yeah.
babe. You
And
need to go
I've
cover
seen it
that
for
shit up.
2 seconds. 2 seconds. So
Yeah.
like I don't.
Well, I've
But
had
then the
men that
argument,
call me and they're like,
well, without getting
I'm
too much into
uncomfortable.
it this week, but then like, what do you make the argument? Well, men go shirtless, right? So we'll get into it next week on that
I know.
about
It's
attire.
true. Men do go shirtless, but I'm not like, oh my God, I can see his nipple. It's not the same.
I, I have no idea how you see it. Couldn't tell you.
Some girls, you know what? I'm not going to lie. When some of the framers are framing, they sometimes will draw a little bit of a crowd. I won't lie. And I have to shoo all the thirsty women away.
I'll tell you a funny story about the roofing company we had. Exactly why we did it the way we did it, which would be an HR nightmare.
Okay. Are we doing that next week or are we doing that right now?
No, we'll do that next week because you said you wanted to keep
Okay.
these a little bit shorter because that'd be a whole like thing.
Okay. Sounds good. And then I also want to dive into what are the main women's concerns for construction, because that one's got over 7,000 hits on it. And multiple, it's got 99 comments. That's a
So
good
we'll
one to
talk.
maybe pull.
Yeah, so you
What's
want to do
that?
a kind of a combination between both? Maybe we should set timers because we talk too much.
I
We should set
know we
like a
do.
timer, right? A timer with like a heading across the top to stay focused because we'll just train wreck wherever.
Right? It's fucking train wreck. Okay, we'll wrap up. We'll get into this next week. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you to my wonderful co host that comes on these podcasts with me, and we can go through these and have a good time. But as always, everybody, have a great week, and we'll catch you on the flip side.